Hello and welcome, my hot dog stuck in a whale's blowhole. It's SJB here, and today we're talking all about the balance changes for the new update. And yes, update 38.0 just launched. It's official. It's actually out right now. You can play it. And instead of going over all of the stuff, we're just going to go over the balance changes. So the things that are actually changed with the monkeys themselves in the game. And to start you guys off, we're going to talk about our wonderful Spike-Up-Hold here. Spike-Up-Hold now allows re-hitting of targets after bounces. So you're going to notice that one shot hit the pink balloons and then knocked them down to yellows and then into greens in just one single shot. I don't know if I can show it any better than that right now, but just know that that's the thing and that's kind of cool. It actually might help you out just a tiny bit in some weird situations. Paragons are also $25,000 cheaper for the Dart Monkey, but $25,000 more expensive for the Boomerang. So we swapped that price around, so just keep that in mind. These are some mighty interesting changes. Actually, going to affect the game in a lot of weird and somewhat significant ways. Long range just got an increase from 15% to 33% extra range. This will give you some real range to mess around with here, but the issue is that most of this was a stepping stone for Red Hot Rings anyways, so it probably won't actually change the game that much unless you just wanted to kind of almost nerf the other upgrades or the other combos. Just limiting that range is so significant here. In addition, this is going to allow our Glaive Lord to have larger radius around a large radius of glaives around him right here, which is also pretty cool, from 15 to 33%. Possibly because of this change. Maybe not because of this change, but Permacharge ability cooldown is going to go from 40 to 45, which is kind of sad. Next up, we got some really cool changes for the Top Path Cannon. So really big bombs now pushes Bloons back by 10 units. So you can see this with a ceramic balloon in particular. You can see it's not super duper crazy, but you're going to notice that it actually sends it backwards, similar to the way a bottom path Dartling gun would send a balloon backwards when it actually hits it. If you actually combine this guy with faster reload missile launcher and or getting something like an Arctic Wind and other things, even on higher tier rounds like round 98, if we set out a bunch of ceramics here, this is actually going to be a reasonable way to stall these guys, because it's just going to stall, send back, stall, send back, stall, send back. It's kind of like an absurd way to do it. This is only a third tier cannon, and we're taking down super ceramics without too many issues. That's kind of wild. Of course, no Black Pop and Power yet, but then we've got Balloon Impact, which makes it even stronger. Now we get that stunning aspect. All right, let's know those 25 ceramics again. And we get a increased stun duration from 1 to 1.4. On top of this setback, it's kind of... Oh my god, I did it again. I did it again. I want to set up ceramics, bro. So yeah, look at this. I mean, this combo is just kind of awesome, actually. Like, I don't think you're going to be able to beat this combo in a long time here, or even if you want to combine this guy with something like frickin' Balloon Air Denial System or something like that, you're going to get some amazing combos going here. Look at this thing! This is crazy! It almost seems way too good, to be completely honest, but I have to actually test out in real games, see if this is actually worthwhile and is actually going to make sense in a real game to build. But based on what I'm seeing right now, this is awesome. Like, straight up awesome. Just getting rid of that ceramic layer is very, very difficult to do. But it doesn't stop there! Now, Balloon Crush, instead of stunning Moabs, is going to send Moabs frickin' backwards, guys. I don't know how else to put this in an absurd way, but you gotta watch out for this guy, because yes, it can be very, very powerful, but it can also be very, very sarcastic with just infinite stunnage. And infinite stunnage sounds really good until you take 65 minutes with your tiny little baby pop cow here to actually take down these higher tier rounds without infinite range or something like that. So just keep that in mind. This guy, even better than before, but you gotta use him wisely, otherwise you're gonna be suffering. Another cannon change. We've got the Recursive Cluster Pierce Multiplier increased from 3 to 4, but I believe they just nerfed this guy in the last update. I don't remember what it was, but this guy is not going to be all-powerful anymore. I mean, you're going to think about those top-tier cannons a lot more often these days. Oh my god, I didn't think they could do it. They nerfed the tax zone again. Oh my god, this is brutal! This is straight-up brutal. So first of all, tax zone rate increase. It's going to get a speed increase, actually, from 25 to 35%. That is nice. Okay, I'll accept that. But Pierce reduced from 4 to 2. We're having our Pierce. Now, don't forget that we get more Pierce from getting an Alchemist and getting a village going and all that stuff and getting the buffs, but that's just wild. The tax zone got such a huge limitation. I mean, check this out against a bunch of ceramics, man. I mean, these are round 98 ceramics, but this is not what you would expect out of a tower that should be able to just own ceramics no problem. All right? Kind of ridiculous. Kind of ridiculous. And then some very weird Pierce changes kind of across the board here. So Ring of Fire got a Pierce reduction from 40 to 30, but you can get it back by upgrading to your cross paths by getting super range attacks and whatnot. Blade Maelstrom, same exact thing. Pierce decrease if you just keep a base here. You need to go for the fast shooting and even fast shooting to use that ability properly. And then same thing with Super Maelstrom, you lose out on some Pierce unless you buy the cross paths. Very weird, very nuanced, but hey, it is part of the game, we should talk about it. But because of all of that, this ability length is actually going to be longer for both the 4th tier and the 5th tier. From 3 to 3.5, 3 to 4, and from 9 to 10.5 and 9 to 12, depending on how many upgrades you actually went for. So it's actually worth it to go for those upgrades. Just totally, across the board. Dang, dude! These are some... I feel like Ninja Kiwi normally does not make such abrupt and wild changes, but they are saying, screw the Arctic Wind. You can suck my balls. They did not like the Pierce being 100, and they nerfed it down to 40. But then if you go all the way up to a 5th tier, that Pierce goes back up to 100. Okay, kind of wild here, but alright. Next up, we've got the Cryo Cannon. So the Cryo Cannon has a 20% shorter freeze lifespan from 1.5 to 1.2. Fair enough. It was pretty decent, but nothing absurd, realistically. I mean, it makes me really want to build top path cannons these days instead of ice towers, right? These things seem kind of worthless, actually. This is an interesting quality of life change. Elite Sniper, it does have a different ability from the other 3 snipers, but when you use this Elite Sniper ability, it makes all of the sniper abilities happen all at once, so the tediousness is now a gonzo, which is pretty cool. I kind of like that. I mean, it makes me want to build more sniper combos without having to spam this ability nonstop. Just click this once every once in a while, and you're good. Clean them all up. This is an interesting thing. So check out this Ground Zero ability. Boom. What? Why are the balloons left on the screen? Well, if you didn't know, the Pierce of a Ground Zero ability was 1,000, and I actually did not know that, by the way. It is not infinite. It is 1,000. But they increased it to 2,000. So now when we send out 3,000 red balloons here, when we use our ability, it will not kill them all. There's going to be some leftovers. So you cannot just race insta-kill everything. You actually have to, like, pop things a little bit or think about how you want to pop those things. Okay, pretty weird heli pilot changes here. Bear with me because they are weird and it's hard to tell if this is a buff or a nerf, but basically from my understanding it is a buff for everything up until round 80 and then it's kind of a nerf after that. So let me explain. Downdraft rate from 0.15 to 0.225, so we're going to be slower, but our Pierce is going to go up from 1 to 2. Alright, but then our Pierce on regular balloons is awesome, going from 1 to 2. But now, when we have to deal with ceramics, we have a Pierce penalty that goes up. So it requires 2 Pierce to go through a ceramic balloon, using up more of our downdraft capabilities. Okay, so basically this allows us to be better against lower tier balloons and slightly worse against ceramic balloons, generally affecting us more in the late game when we're fighting higher tier ceramics on round 98 plus. Okay, fair enough. Now when we go up to support Chinook, woo! Our downdraft Pierce is going from 1 to 4. Woo! Alright, that's freaking amazing. It remains the same at 0.15, so we get that buff from 3rd tier up to 4th tier in that way. Both a rate and Pierce increase. But we do not increase our blowback distance anymore. So you'll notice that these ceramics do only get knocked back just a little bit here. They're not getting knocked back from the back of the map all the way to the front of the map or anything like that, you know? I mean, it's just a small little distance. So hopefully I explained that pretty okay here, but there are definitely some interesting changes we're going to have to like mess around with in the regular game to see how they affect it. Gotta admit, I like this change because I feel like it doesn't really make sense, like, ever. I still don't know if I'm ever going to buy this guy, but at least it's a thing. All right, we've got Buckshot change. That was actually not bad. Let's send out a Moab. Let's just see what happens with one single Moab on round 80. Just curious. The Buckshot bonus damage increased from 1 to 2. Cool. The Bad's shock damage increased from 1 to 3. Ooh, that's not too shabby, man. All right, let's send out some ceramics with this. Whoa, all right. Let's send out round 98 ceramics now. See if this guy can actually melt through them. Round 98 ceramics. A single ceramic gets demolished. Hey, I'll take it, dude. I'll set a bunch of them just to see what's going to happen. And then the Bez shock damage increased from 1 to 6. You know what? This is not a bad change. I mean, we just popped 25 round 98 ceramics. I mean, that's a decent amount of ceramics we're actually going to have to deal with here. Of course, we sacrifice speed and camo detection to make this happen. Probably not going to happen, but it's still a possibility. Okay? Still a reasonable possibility. Wizard got some changes. First of all, Wizard Paragon got some changes, but I'm not going to even dive into that. If you want to mess around with it, just decide if it's good or not. It really doesn't matter whether he's affecting 50 mana this way or 50 mana that way. They're all going to be changes that you're just going to have to pay attention to and decide if you like it or not. No way to understand if it's good or not based on the numbers. As far as Dragon's Breath is concerned, price increased from $3,000 to $3,300, so a decent price increase. All right, I'll take it. Summon Phoenix now requires camo detection to give him the camo detection. That is pretty awful. That is really awful. You used to be able to get automatic camo detection with the Phoenix here. It's one of the coolest ways to get automatic camo detection. No longer is that the case. You have to buy Monkey Sense. Fair enough. And then the Summon Phoenix beloved Micro has been restored. So I believe that you can now aim with this guy on whatever you actually want to aim. So if we've got a BFB coming out and a couple mobs or something like that, or I don't know, send it like a bat or something like that. If we don't want to aim... Oh, dang. If we don't want to aim the BFE for some reason, we can turn on the Phoenix and have him aim the bad balloon instead, because we got him on last. I don't know. That's something you want to do. I guess that's cool. I mean, most of the time, I'm probably going to leave him on first, but you know what? Options are always good. All right, this is a really interesting one. Super Monkey. Tech Terror's Annihilation ability now knocks back any surviving targets by a large amount. So instead of a bunch of Zoma Gods here, we're going to just use that ability. Okay, I wouldn't call that a large amount, but all right. It was a decent amount. And Tech Terror was already really, really good, but it does make it so you are required to go for the bottom path Tech Terror, which I feel like many people do not do. Interesting change. I like the idea. Whoa, it's almost hard to believe this. They really have not done a lot of ninja changes. They've left the ninja alone for a long time, but they're finally doing something for this guy in a weird way. Ninja Discipline no longer grants increased range, just attack speed. Oh, that feels so sad. It used to give you both. No, it doesn't. But if you want to get that extra range, you gotta buy the Seeking Shuriken. Okay, that's really the only difference now. I mean, this is most of what most people are buying anyways, but it does play into some weirder strategies later on in the game if you want to. And now you can't just buy... if you're going to go for Shinobi now, though, a lot of times you bought the Ninja Discipline to get the increased attack speed, but now you might want to buy Seeking Shuriken instead to get that extra range here, which sacrifices some of your speed. So it will affect late-game ninja strategies as well, specifically doing Shinobi tactics and weird combos with that guy, because you cannot buy both cross paths, obviously. Okay, this is an interesting one. Sticky Bomb, I think, doesn't have an actual direct change to it, besides giving it enough range to actually attack within its range bubble. Before, the Sticky Bomb would shoot outside of its range bubble, and I believe now that everything should actually attack inside of its range to make it standardized. I think that's what they did with this. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but it just makes it now you actually understand how much range he actually has instead of just guessing how much further the Sticky Bomb attacks beyond its normal range. And I'm not sure if it wasn't full map before or if it was just a large range, but now Master Bomber does officially have full map range Sticky Bombs. Holy crap, check this out. This is cool. Check out this Tornado Druid. So you saw that straight line there? You saw that straight line there? Now check out this wicked curling tornado deliciousness. What is going on, man? It's like a Seeking Shuriken ninja now. I don't know if that's good or bad, but it's cool. You don't need to, for example, put him on last anymore to shoot down straight lines or something like that. You could leave him on first in strategic positions, allow him to still shoot those guys backwards. I definitely like that. In addition, it actually got increased range as well. And then Superstorm is also $5,000 cheaper, so buffs across the top path druids, that makes sense. Those guys were not used all that often. Then we're moving on to middle path druids. Jungle's Bounty in particular, Vine Brambles have increased damage. So you're going to see it's going to go from a yellow down to a blue. They're just popping things like crazy. It's actually kind of hard to even see because he's just popping so many frickin' things over here. But these Brambles, only on the 4th tier, increase damage from 1 to 2. And then we also magically get $10 extra cash off of this guy. So, alright. We'll take that as well, I guess. Okay, we got some really weird Spike Factory changes that I do not understand yet. All of the numbers change in a bunch of different ways, which means that we cannot just say, oh, attack goes up, price goes down. Something like that. It's like it's just a bunch of different things going on. First of all, the thing that actually makes sense, spiked mines, explosion radius from 30 to 40, super mines radius from 100 to 133. So that means these guys exploding huge now. Awesome. Smart spikes, passive ability duration from 2.5 to 3 seconds. Okay, so we just get to like shoot for a little bit longer at the beginning of the round. Carpet of Spikes, main attack plus 5 pierce. So it means that you could possibly go for a Smart Spikes, Carpet of Spikes, maybe, and make that guy worthwhile. Coffee winkety, oh my goodness, maybe. Interesting thought there, Chris. And then, here's where it gets weird. A freaking Perma-Spike, guys. I don't even know what to say about this. Pierce increase from 25 to 50. Top path from 45 to 90. Damage reduced from 15 to 10, though. Attack rate reduced from 4.85 to 6.0625. Ridiculous numbers, but okay. And then the Perma-Spike start a round buff increased from 2.5 to 10. Okay, so we're going to shoot out a lot of spikes right at the very beginning of a round, but then they seemingly are not going to pop out as much during the round, but then they're slightly more powerful if you end up going for the top paths over here instead of going for the middle path, which has always been... most of the time, go for middle path. Or no. Yeah, what the heck? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how this is going to affect the game. You're going to have to mess around with it and see what works for you and see what actually works here. We're going to have to do some real science with the Perma-Spike, because this is confusing me. Monkyopolis seemingly nerfed again. Possibly still good, though. Want to throw it out there that just a base Monkyopolis with a base farm might actually still be a reasonable thing to go for. But the base cash amount reduced from 2,500 to 1,250. Okay. Again, we'll have to test that out to see how it's going to end up actually doing something, but for now, that is just the way it is. All right, best thing I can do to you guys is just read off these changes. We'll try to explain them if possible, but I think for the most part, just reading off the numbers is the best way for me to explain this. Orcas, huge price decrease, 16k down to 12,500. That's actually a pretty decent change right there, guys. Orca, I don't want to say he made no sense, but he was kind of random. You know, like difficult to just say, yes, I want to get an Orca. Adasaurus attack cooldown scale down from 3.5 to 0.31, or excuse me, 0.35 to 0.31. The Velociraptor attack cooldown from 0.39 to 0.31. Adasaurus Pierce reduced from 10 to 8. Adasaurus Pierce range reduced from 15 to 12. Velociraptor damage from 12 to 9. Velociraptor damage range from 24 to 18. Puakai, freaking, I don't even want to buy him. Puakai Pierce reduced from 300 to 200. And Puakai's Pierce range reduced from 400 to 250. Okay, so generally nerfs for middle path and bottom path, and a buff for the top path. I thought that made reasonable sense here, but I still wouldn't mind getting more buffs across the board for these guys. They're good, but they're not absurdly good. Ooh, I did forget to mention something. Glue gunners now will only drop puddles from the first child in the split. So we won't just be getting infinite glue anymore, even though it's like still pretty good amounts of glue, right? And that happens for both the 4th tier and the 5th tier. And now Relentless Glue can now stun DDTs and Moabs for 0.25 seconds. That's pretty cool, dude. I'll take some Relentless Glue action over here. Heck yeah. And then last but not actually least here, we've got one quick cannon ship change. So, long range main projectile pierce from 1 to 2. So if you're actually able to use this guy in an effective way down straight lines, it might not be a bad idea to just go long range right from the get-go. Kind of weird, but it could actually help you out. And then cannon ship cannonball pierce on the long range cannon from 28 to 35. And frags pierce from 1 to 2. I don't know how that's going to affect the game just yet, but I assume that means it's more worth it to go for a cam detection cannon ship instead of necessity to go for the top path to make this guy worthwhile. But that's it. That's all the buffs, all the changes, all the nerfs. Not very straightforward today. This does not include any of the hero changes either. This is just the tower changes. But know that Adora got a slight nerf. Etienne didn't really get a technical change, but technically did get a change. There were some Vortex changes going on as well. And Open got some crazy changes that I cannot even go into details right now. They're absurd. Might have to make a video on this, because Open. What fits for Open? 1 symbol, maybe 2? Oh, well, No one minds. Anyways, if you guys enjoyed, make sure you press that like button, make sure you subscribe, and of course, have a super duper delicious day.